Dan Healy here from the Miami Heat UK. Donovan Mitchell is a Cavalier, and we don't think Utah are done with their reset just yet. They will continue to strip assets. They have Jordan Clarkson, they have Mike Conley, they have Bojan Bogdanovic, they have Lauri Markkanen, who they've just acquired from the Cavs in that Mitchell trade, but not entirely convinced that he is part of that rebuild, so perhaps he could be up for grabs too. We will see here in this 305 seconds segment whether or not the Miami Heat may be able to get in on the act to look at one of these two power forwards that still sit on that Utah roster. So we're going to focus primarily on Bojan Bogdanovic and Lauri Markkanen. Before we get into how much it would cost, etc., let's just have a quick look at the two players. They compare pretty similarly stats-wise. Both players averaging around 15 points per game, both averaging around 1.5 assists per game. Lauri Markkanen a little better off the boards. He averages 6.8 rebounds per game as opposed to Bogdanovic's 3.6, but you probably expect that as Markkanen is a much bigger player at 7 foot as opposed to 6'7" Bogdanovic. Both can shoot beyond the arc, which is the main thing here. This is the thing. It's getting somebody who can command respect from three-point land, something like PJ Tucker did do, obviously knowing that he won't be back next year. But let's just have a look at Markkanen. 36% from beyond the arc, so not brilliant, but still can command that respect, as I said. Bogdanovic, a respectable 39%, so this is good. Defensively, not elite, either of them, but sort of middle out on league average here, both sort of around 111 as a defensive rating. So they can do okay, they can do a job in that sense. But the Miami Heat is not really where they're lacking. Defensively, we're good. We know this. Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, Kyle Lowry, Victor Oladipo, they can do the defensive work. So we're not necessarily needing that PJ Tucker role. We were so good defensively last year, mainly because PJ gave us that. But offensively is where we lacked, and maybe that's where the upgrade, if it's going to happen, needs to happen. So one of these players sort of tick that box. You know, when you look at last year, you know, it was where we struggled. We didn't have anybody else other than that Tyler Herro, Jimmy Butler. They had to come off. They had to do that job. So each of these two players would do a good thing here in that sense. Now you look at the contract side of things. Lauri Markkanen, 3 years left on his deal. 16 million is due this year. 17 the year after. 18 in his final year. So it's a respectable contract, but 3 years on it for 20, and he's 25 years old. If he was going to be acquired, you would think that would mainly be that you're settling on that piece. Bojan Bogdanovic is slightly different. 19.5 million this year he's owed, but he's 33 years old and he's on an expiring contract. So when you look at the cost of what would need to happen here, we know that Utah want picks. That's their main thing here. They want to accumulate as many picks as possible. For me, if I'm going to give up a pick, I would give it up for Lauri Markkanen. I'm not sure I'd give it up for a 33-year-old Bogdanovic. But the problem with that is then the Heat would then need to add a player as well. We can't do this unless we do. We can't, we'll go way into the tax, which is not what we want to do here. So Duncan Robinson and a pick for Lauri Markkanen, that's interesting. Duncan Robinson and a pick for Bogdanovic, that's too steep for me. But on the other hand, I want that expiring contract, because if you've got Bogdanovic to come in, who I believe would probably be slightly the better fit here for Miami next to Bam, if he's going to come, there's no way I'm giving up a first-round pick for him. But I'll give up Duncan Robinson for him. If you could make that happen, yeah, I'd take Bogdanovic for a year and then maybe try and re-sign him at 34 years old then on a much more team-friendly deal. I would go down that route. But would Utah do that? Do they really want Duncan Robinson? Is it part of what they want to achieve? Probably not. So Markkanen probably would be more appealing if they're willing to get rid of him, because they could get a pick and Duncan, and then they can do what they want from there. Maybe that's what would probably be more appealing for Utah. But if I'm the Heat, if I had to go for one of these players, I would want Bogdanovic more because of that expiring, and then you can do something with it. You can either let him go or you can try and sign him to a team-friendly deal. But I'm not giving up a first round for him, so that's a tough one. Now, for those that are saying that Yurtseven is already there, you could do it. You don't need one of these players. Yurtseven's there. Look, Yurt's got a big future. We know this. I'm high on him. I think he's got a big ceiling. I think he's got a big future in this league, and he'll continue to develop. He's shown glimpses of brilliance last year. But I can't have a front court with Bam and Yurt when neither of them have yet shown any proof that they can shoot. Not in this modern league. It doesn't work. So Bogdanovic or Lauri Markkanen are a much better fit at this point, as are much more people. Now, we know that the Heat probably won't be doing anything. They'll probably leave it as it is at the moment. They'll go into camp, they'll go into the season with this team and roster as it is. But if I'm the Heat, I'm going to explore this deal. I'm going to pick up the phone and try and do something. I know that it's the Ainge and Riley thing again, but look, if business is business and we can get a deal done that suits both parties, why wouldn't they do it? So what would you do, guys? Which one of these two would you go for? For me, as I said, I would head towards Bogdanovic, but absolutely not am I giving up a first for him. Would they take him and a straight swap for Duncan Robinson? Probably not. Markkanen, 3 years on his deal, you'll be committing to that then. But are you giving up a first and Duncan Robinson for him? Would you rather Duncan be there to be more of an attractive name later on, to try and seek that more attractive name, maybe closer to trade deadline? Let me know what you think, guys. It's an interesting one.